Welcome to your 5-day belting challenge. This is day 1 and today is all about preparing for belting. Now, before you start belting, if you've never done belting before, it's an advanced vocal technique and it's very important that you have a few things in place before you even attempt to do this. So even if you feel like you might be able to do it without having this stuff in place first, and you feel like it sounds good and it sounds loud and it sounds like your voice is projecting, if you're not able to check in with a vocal coach who is able to hear and recognize what's going on with your voice and give you the right pointers, if you're only going for what you think sounds good, it's not always the right thing to do and it's not always the healthiest thing for your voice, which means when you come to belt, when you are performing, when you're recording, and if you're going on tour, if you come into problems, it would probably be because you are not using the right techniques first. And if you don't have this stuff in place that I'm about to share with you, that is a big risk. So what you must have in place first is chest voice. If you have a naturally high voice and you find it difficult to sing low notes, you must be able to sing in chest voice before you attempt to belt. You also must have your head voice established so that that type of sound. It must be established well and you must be able to sing to the end of your range with a full head voice without feeling sore, without feeling that you're choked up and tight in the throat. And you also must be able to mix. So you must be able to blend your chest voice and your head voice together to create a mixed voice, a mixed register before you attempt belting. If you can't do that, then please, or any of those things, please go into the description. There's a link to a video there for each of those: head voice, chest voice, and for belting. And if you're watching this inside the Singing Genius Club membership site, then please go along to the categories: head voice, chest voice, and mixed voice. Make sure that you establish those first and then come back to the belting challenge. Let's get started. Now, with belting, it's not shouting and it's not chest pulled up to singing into high notes. That's a different technique. Belting is actually a mixed voice technique. We can change the amount of chest voice and head voice that we use when we're belting to create different sounds for different genres. So for example, rock singing is a more twangy, more head voicey type of belt, and soul and gospel and jazz, when jazzers do belt, not very often, but when they do, it's a more rounded, a more chesty, a chest heavy belt. So there are different types of belting. We always warm up, and we're going to prepare by using something called twang. So twang is a very forward sounding, a forward placed technique. So the air and the sound is placed forward in the mask, but even more forward, and it sounds very nasal. Don't be scared of sounding nasal. This is going to take the pressure away from your throat so that you're not using your throat muscles to try and reach those high notes and to try and project. The projection comes from where the air is placed, and if you try to hold it in your throat and try to use those throat muscles, you will just be shouting and you'll just be ruining your voice. Please remember that projection and volume are not the same, but it sounds louder. The sound is being carried, and so if you're closer to the person who's projecting, it's going to sound louder, and if you're further away, it's going to sound louder because the sound has been projected towards you. So let's get started. We're going to start with a lip bubble. Next, let's go to a tongue trill. If you can't do a tongue drill, stick to ooh. Next is zzz. If you've already done the Z sound, the zzz, because you couldn't do the lip bubble, then please do continue to use it. This is going to help you to focus the sound forward so you get used to having that forward placement in your mask. Zzz. Here we go. The next exercise will help you to further focus that sound towards your mask. And this is mm. And we go. Mm. So you want to be careful that you're not going nah. No. You need that you need that tongue to be making that sound, and it kind of feels like you've got a blocked nose. Here we go. And you want to avoid head voice, don't go into head voice. So it shouldn't sound like It should sound nice and full. And if it feels like it's going to catch in your throat, then stop. And when we come back to where you're comfortable, then start again. If it stops and it catches in your throat, that's the wrong thing. We want it to be very nasally. So let's go from here again. And now it's not loud because I'm pushing it and creating more volume. It's loud because it's a projection technique, and that is where the resonance is happening and creating the projection. Last one. Now, I have heard singers talk about doing a soft belt, and there actually isn't such a thing. What you would be referring to if you're thinking of belting softly is actually the mix. So that mix, as I said earlier, the belt is created by combining your head and chest voices and allowing the placement to resonate more in the mask and definitely less in your throat, so that you're not actually shouting and you're not creating a very loud sound, but you are creating a powerful sound. And that is by mixing, and that's what we're doing here with that technique we've just done there, the exercise there with the that's what we're doing. We're mixing the head and the chest voices. Now, if you bypassed what I said at the beginning and you feel that you don't have a very established head voice, but you feel that you are able to do this, I do encourage you to go back and get that head voice established, because you're just going to come into problems later, and it's kind of, you might feel like you're saving time, but it's actually a false economy. You are going to need to work through all areas of your voice. The next exercise is going to give us that more rounded feeling, and it's a whoa, it's a sob. So whoa, 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 whoa. Here we go. 5, 6, 7, and whoa, 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 whoa. And with this, you're still going to feel that pressure behind your nose, even though it doesn't necessarily feel like it's blocked, but you will feel that pressure just behind there. 5, 6, 7, and whoa, 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 whoa. 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 Not aiming for head voice. We're avoiding head voice as much as possible, and that will create the mix. As I've said, although I've said we are using a bit of head voice, we don't want to go into full head voice. We're avoiding it, and that's what creates the mix. If you're not quite understanding that, don't worry for now. Just make sure that you're not going into a full head voice, so you're not singing this. And don't think of it as a sing, actually. Think of it as saying rather than singing. So you're not going, whoa, 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 whoa. That would be a full head voice. We want it mixed. Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, so it's much more speaky. Whoa, 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 whoa. Last one. We're now going to open this up to a whoa. Now, as you go up in pitch. If you're doing the exercise right, it will start to get loud, and allow it to be loud, but don't force it or push it to become loud. You don't want to be creating the volume yourself by forcing or pushing the sound. If you're doing it correctly, it will project by itself. Here we go. Whoa. And again, aiming for that pressure there. Whoa. Whoa. Gonna cut out if I continue. Now this is very high for belting. If you can't reach it, please do not force yourself. It's very high for belting. Most people don't belt up to there. It's just for the exercise. Now, as this is part of the 5-day belting challenge, I am offering a free place in my Singing Genius Club. That is an online club where you can access all of these videos without ads. There's extra competitions, be masterclasses in there, and live Q&As with me inside the club. You won't have access to that anywhere else. So I am offering a free place. There will be some terms and conditions attached. What I would love you to do is tell me how you're getting on with the belting challenge, what you're finding a little bit more difficult, what successes you're having, the singer that's the most engaged, and I will be looking for proof that you're actually doing the challenge as well. So I'll be looking for video evidence and audio evidence that you're actually doing this challenge. I will be offering that free place in the Singing Genius Club. If you've enjoyed this, please like and subscribe so that you get all of the future belting challenge videos, and share it with someone that you think is going to benefit. I'll see you tomorrow. Stay hydrated. Ciao.